This is the Benson amplification delay. It's a PT 2399 bass delay, and it was given to me by my good friend, Chris Benson. The amp you're hearing in this video is also Benson. It's a Redland amp. It's his new prototype, and I'm beta testing it. I'm beyond thankful that Chris would even consider lending me anything, let alone giving me anything, and I'm honored that he's done this. And while these amps represent a beautiful friendship, they also represent something that not everyone would be proud of, but I am, and that's being a failure. When I received this pedal from Chris, I said, you know, maybe I'll make a YouTube video about it. Maybe I'll talk about it. Maybe I'll try and do something with it. And I didn't. It's taken me a year to get around to it. You're hearing the delay all throughout this video, and it took me a year to actually build up the self-confidence to make a recording. And on that note, with my last video, I also failed. The audio was bad. I've gotten a lot of feedback and a lot of help. My friend Justin gave me a torpedo so I can start recording amps. I bought mics on the recommendation of people, and I actually think that making that first video and failing was one of the best things I did, because it's given me the self-confidence to work hard for a second video. And on this note, I'd like to thank everyone. Every single person who watched that video, every single person who liked, commented, subscribed, reached out, yelled at me, told me it sucked, or told me they enjoyed it. That genuinely meant the world to me. But today, I want to be vulnerable. I want to talk about why I'm a failure, and I think that's the best thing that I can be as a musician, especially here in Nashville, Tennessee. So a good example of how I failed, but in an upward fashion, would be musically. I gigged, and still do, and I am tonight, with a man named Noah Hungate. He's just one of the kindest people. He's a fellow comic book nerd, but he's one of the most fierce drummers I've ever played with. And I said to him one day, man, what can I do to play better with you? What can I do to improve? And he laid it down pretty hard. He said, man, when you're on, and you're paying attention, you're on. But he goes, if you zone out or you lose it, he's like, man, your time and your feel and your pocket's all over the place. And by not being there, by not living in the moment of the music, by allowing myself to slip up even in these small moments, I was failing myself, I was failing him, and I was failing the band I was playing with. When Noah said that, I made a conscious decision from then on. I'm only going to focus on being there and being present and being a part of the music, no matter what. And it's been a night and day difference. And it may sound dumb, but perhaps I was burnt out, perhaps I was just being my ADD self, but Noah pointed it out, really made a huge difference in my life, and I can't thank him enough. But I also have to thank him for his patience as he watched me flounder and fail, and as he watches me grow. And I think by having that moment of vulnerability and admitting to failure to him, failure to other drummers I'd play with, I allowed myself to be open to advice that, although small and although probably pretty common sense, allowed me to hone in on my time and my pocket, my feel, and begin working to a better coexistence with members of the band. One way I failed myself was by taking a gig I just shouldn't have. I was new in town. I was playing bass on the gig. It was like Thanksgiving, and it was old country and 90s country only. And I just failed miserably. Halfway through the gig, I was an anxious wreck. I was trying to hold it together, and I couldn't. I'm not a good bass player anyway, but I did not know half the tunes. We had like Gene Watson's Farewell Party called. We had 90s, you know, Itty Bitty Crack in My Heart by Randy Travis called. Stuff I'd never even heard of. Some artists I'd never even heard of. I was that new and green. And while, yeah, those guys may never call me for a gig, and I knew that at the end of the gig, and, you know, I failed horribly. It was actually one of the best things that happened because it put me into gear. It made me determined to learn these tunes and learn them correct. So one day, 10 years down the track, when a guitar player is needed, hopefully they can call me and I can serve the music and do the right thing by them. And this is to say, if you take a gig that's above your level, don't be afraid, you know. Understand that, yeah, you might not be ready, but if you have the grit and determination, you can be ready. Just be ready to fail on stage consistently. You can only get better if you're willing to fail on stage. If you're going for a lick and it doesn't work out, you get it next time. If you're trying to play a part and you just zap out and don't remember it in the moment, that's fine, but don't be afraid of failing in front of others, because if you're failing in front of others, you're being more vulnerable than anyone else can be, and it's showing that you care enough to really try and learn and dedicate to your craft. Alright, back inside. Far out. How's that? Okay, I've just wanted to make a quick footnote. I failed myself pretty hard, like mentally and physically. And I'm learning to forgive myself for that. I was taking so many gigs that I never had time to sit down and watch a movie or play a video game, but more importantly, go for a walk, go fishing or exercise. I put on a few pounds. I fainted on stage in December. I was smoking like a chimney. And this year I turned it around. I started to anyway. I've been going to the gym, I've lost a little weight, I'm not smoking anymore. But I really failed myself by not looking into the future and by not caring. I said yes to every gig without thinking. I pushed my body to its personal limits and I didn't know how to say no. I didn't know how to have the cognizant idea of looking after myself and self-preservation. I was just thinking about now and materialistic, what can I buy? And I could buy this. It's like I was working without earning anything spiritually. I was getting very burnt out. And I think this might be the greatest of all failures that I've had, because by working myself to the bone and learning that I need to learn how to say no and I need to learn how to look after myself, make time for my partner and make time for the people in my life and to do things like this, you know, that was a hard lesson. I'm very thankful for it, and I'm thankful that working myself to just grinding down to the bone illuminated what needs to happen next. So in this way, I really failed myself mentally and physically, but at the same time, I got to see what I'm capable of and where my limits stand and go from there. So there's actually someone I failed pretty bad, and it's one of my best friends in the entire world, Pete Jonas. Pete's the reason that I ended up moving to Nashville. We were at his house one day in Boston, finishing college, and it's like, man, what are you gonna do? I was like, I'm gonna go become a school teacher or something. I'm too scared to perform. And he almost like did a 180 and was like, what are you talking about? And he was gobsmacked. He's like, no, that's not happening. And he started putting on record after record, video of band after band. He's like, dude, who cares what anyone thinks? Get that self-confidence, get on stage, rock it. You are a performer and you need to do this. Don't accept the idea of going into something you don't want. Accept that you might fail and continually fail upwards. And Pete actually illuminated something inside of me I realized I'd always had, which was, I'm not afraid of failure, ultimately. I've moved countries, I've, failed on more gigs than I've succeeded on. I fail at playing licks every day, I fail to look after myself, I failed to hold up promises, but I've always done it with good intentions and the idea that although I've failed, I plan to be better and do better. And Pete pushed me into not being scared to fail in Nashville. arriving here knowing literally no one, and now having a beautiful community of friends and people I care for. And so if I hadn't been pushed into the absolute red of if I fail I go home by my friend Pete, I wouldn't be here. And so Pete, in many ways I failed you, but I love you and I thank you for pushing me into the zone of fight or flight, where it's either fail upwards or fail downwards, and downwards means giving it all up. You just can't be afraid of it. You've got to be proud to fail. You've got to readily accept that you are going to. Look, realistically, I'm failing by doing this video. I'm putting myself out to a pretty vulnerable state, which I'm not going to be surprised if people laugh at, but I'm sharing something that hopefully will get to the person who needs it. The new person to town, or the person who's thinking of quitting, or even a couple of my friends and I who we have been in that point of like, man, I'm burnt out, I got to get out of here. By failing, you're doing the best thing you can do. You're actually achieving, because there are those who don't fail and don't even attempt, and they don't fail because they don't attempt, and that's such a pointless waste. By failing, you have achieved and are doing what everyone else is scared to do. And if you know me, please reach out. If you ever need to talk about this stuff, or we need someone to talk to, or you have failed and you want to be successful in your failure, perhaps I can help you. Perhaps I will fail to help you. But I leave you with the thought that if you look at the big three of failures that you've had as a musician, and you look at what's happened because of them, are you stoked about it, or is there things you would change? Because those failures are what allow you to become who you are, and they are allowing you to continue on your path. So this video may not be for everyone. In fact, really it's an experiment to just think about some things. I think there's a lot of humility in putting myself out there, and I welcome the comments and I welcome the negative ones, and I welcome the thoughts, because I love to know what people are thinking, and I love to know how people think. But if you had a really big failure that's changed your life and helped you to become who you are, I'd love to know what it is, because, you know, maybe you don't want to share it, maybe it's personal, but I've shared a few of mine, and I think they've really helped me to become the person who I am, and I look forward to my future failures and seeing how they shape me and how I can prove resilient to them and overcome them and grow with them. Again, I want to thank everyone who's watched a video or is watching this. This may not be for everyone. This may be really dumb. I'm really scared to put this out there. But I want to say thank you, and I appreciate each and every one of you. And it means the world to me that anyone even cares enough to watch this. Cheers.